If you love fresh, radiant makeup that still looks like your skin, this is one of my favorite everyday routines. I'm starting with a simple K-beauty skincare routine to create a hydrating and radiant base. And then I'll show you how I do this easy, natural makeup look that lasts beautifully throughout the day. So let's get started. I already washed my face using the Medipil Lacto Collagen Cleansing Foam, but it still leaves my skin feeling really clean without that tight or stripped feeling afterwards. And I have to mention the size because the packaging is absolutely huge. You need such a small amount each time that this honestly feels like the kind of cleanser that could last forever. Next, I'm using the Non-Base Super Glowing Essence Toner. At this point, I was already on my second bottle, which probably tells you how much I like it. It's one of my favorite toners because it gives my skin so much hydration while also feeling really soothing. It leaves my complexion looking slightly more radiant and plump, which is exactly what I want, especially underneath makeup. For serum, I'm using the Beauty of Joseon Light On Serum with Centella and Vitamin C. This has also become one of my favorite serums. The texture is really lightweight, it hydrates beautifully, and I love that combination of brightening Vitamin C with soothing Centella. It gives me that extra brightness without feeling heavy or sticky on my skin. Around my eyes, I'm applying the Costache Advanced Nail Peptide Eye Cream. I really prefer lightweight textures in the morning, especially when I'm going to apply makeup afterwards. This one feels hydrating, absorbs really quickly, and doesn't leave the eye area feeling greasy, so foundation or concealer sit beautifully on top. And of course, I always finish my morning skincare with sunscreen. Today I'm using the Skin 1004 Centella Hyalu-Cica Water Fit Sun Serum SPF 50. This is easily one of my favorite Korean sunscreens, especially for my combination skin that's oily in the T-zone. It has such a lightweight texture, absorbs really quickly, and doesn't leave my skin feeling greasy. And this entire skincare routine is actually a perfect example of the type of skin prep I love underneath everyday makeup. Everything is hydrating but lightweight, so my skin feels comfortable and plump without having too many heavy layers underneath my foundation. Before starting my makeup, I'm applying the Raw Peptide Lip Tint in Toast. I love using this while I'm doing the rest of my makeup because it keeps my lips hydrated. It's glossy without feeling overly sticky, and this shade Toast also gives the lips a beautiful subtle tint. Now for foundation, I'm using the Tic Cushion. Ever since I first discovered this foundation, I've been really impressed by the coverage, the longevity, and that beautiful radiant finish. But for everyday makeup, I actually use it a little differently. Instead of applying it directly with the cushion puff, I prefer picking up a small amount with a foundation brush. For my personal taste, the puff can apply more coverage than I want for a natural daytime look, while the brush allows me to use a really small amount and create a much lighter, more skin-like finish. And that's also one of the reasons I love cushion foundations for everyday makeup. They're so quick and convenient to use. Here I'm wearing shade 21W Natural Ivory, which has a noticeably yellow undertone. My skin has a neutral undertone, so if I apply this shade with heavier coverage, it can look too yellow on me. But when I apply a very thin layer with a brush, I can make it work much better during summer. If you are fair, with a neutral undertone like me, my better shade match in this foundation is actually 17N Vanilla. Once I've blended everything with my brush, I sometimes go back in with the cushion puff and gently press it over the skin. I'm not adding more product here, I'm just pressing everything in to make the finish look even more smoother and help the foundation sit beautifully on the skin. Next, I'm adding some work on definition using the Mina the Noodle Stick Bronzer. I'm applying it along my cheekbones, around the sides of my forehead, lightly around the nose, along my jawline, and also a little on the outer corners of my eyes. I love using one cream product in certain areas like this because it makes the entire makeup look feel much more cohesive. Then I simply blend out any edges with my finger until everything looks soft and seamless. Then I'm adding the Noodle Stick Blush. I apply it to my cheeks and also take a little bit of the same color onto my eyelids. It's such an easy way to bring the entire look together without needing a separate eyeshadow palette. For a little extra glow, I'm using the Noodle Stick Highlighter. It has this beautiful champagne tone that catches the light without looking too heavy. I'm tapping it onto the highest points of my cheekbones, between my brows, and underneath the brow bone. I like pressing it in with my fingers because it melts beautifully into the base and keeps that natural skin-like finish. Because I still want this makeup to last throughout the day, I'm setting the areas where I tend to need it most with Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder. Using a powder puff, I lightly set underneath my eyes and through the center of my face. I don't want to completely mattify the skin because I still want to keep that fresh radiant finish. I'm really just setting the areas where I want a little more longevity and control. For my brows, I'm keeping everything very simple. I was blonde when I filmed this look, so I'm using a blonde retractable brow pencil just to fill in any little gaps and softly define the shape. Then I'm brushing the hairs into place with Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter to keep everything looking clean and leaves it throughout the day. For the eyes, I'm keeping things just as easy. I start by curling my lashes, and then I'm applying the Mina the Everyday Single Day Mascara. I really like the curved silicone brush because it curves the lashes beautifully and gives them a really nice elongated look. And another thing I appreciate is that it doesn't feel difficult to remove at the end of the day. To finish the makeup, I'm lining my lips with the NYX Nude Truffle. It's such an easy everyday neutral and works beautifully with the warm tones in this look. Then I'm going back in with the Raw Peptide Lip Tint in Toast for that glossy hydrated finish. And this is the finished look, guys. Fresh, radiant, minimal, but still polished enough to make me feel completely put together. I love this combination for everyday makeup because the skin still looks like skin, but I also get really good longevity from the Tic cushion, and a little bit of powder to the center of my face. It's easy, comfortable, and exactly the kind of makeup I love when I want to look put together without doing too much. Everything I use for both my skincare and makeup is linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye!